Oh,
And we're live.
why, hello there.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Omar. Looking
Hello, my
good.
friend.
Looking good. Looking fresh with that hat.
Thank you. Feels fresh because, it's a clean one. I'm going to try to see how many hats I can go through until I run out of hats on this podcast. So
The podcast will end before that happens. You have a hella hats.
I do have a lot of hats. Yeah, I need to start giving away hats or sell them or something, but we'll see what happens. Try to keep it fresh for everybody. Keep it exciting, right? Like, oh, what hat is he going to wear today? Maybe not. Maybe I'm reaching way too far with that.
That was a stretch,
Yeah.
but I appreciate the effort.
Isn't it funny how like we think sometimes, like kind of like from an ego point, like, oh man, people are gonna just love it when I show them my new hat, like you do it and you're like,
Yeah.
guys, my new hat, nobody noticed it, like it's like
Nobody
bro, who gives
noticed.
a fuck. Nobody gives
No.
a fuck. It kind of like
But-
it's funny, but like women when they do their hair, they do their nails, it's like obviously they want to be complimented on it, not solely because they changed something, but also because they made an investment in themselves, right? And I think I think that makes sense. It's respectful, right? It deserves a compliment. But then guys are like, yeah, bro, I got a new hat the other day, sick. And then like all your other homies are like, that's cool. Like that's as far as that gets. But deep down, every guy is also like, I want a compliment too,
Yeah. 100%.
Compliments go both ways.
Yeah. But welcome back. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome you back. This is going to be another, Uncut episode 4?
Number 4.
Oh, I actually did get it. Because the numbering is off on like uncuts versus not uncuts. But welcome back. It's going to be, like I said, another uncut. It's going to be fun. I think we choose to do these every time. I think we're just like, we just want like a more free-flowing conversation. And as Omar was sort of telling me before, like, part of this is like, yes, we would like to teach you guys through like things that we have gone through, that we learn on the podcast itself. But also we're not trying to lecture anyone, in particular, of like, we'll do it this way or otherwise you're doing it wrong, or, there's very obviously different ways of living your life. So I think the uncuts are kind of like, backing off, for me at least. I take them as like backing off the intensity just a little bit so that, I'm not like screaming at the screen, like white knuckling my microphone.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I mean, there's no need to be 100% serious at all times. Especially me. I'm a goof. I love to joke and fuck around, whatever.
Yep.
So it's also nice to kind of get deeper into that side of myself, right? Especially, for the people that are listening and stuff. It also helps them get to know us and know what we stand for, right? I spoke to somebody else that has a podcast, and like we were like discussing this. It's like sometimes you feel like you're trying too hard to be like politically correct and like overthink the ways that you're going to say something and how you're going to have that lead to the next topic and all this, right? And we've certainly gone through that ourselves, and that's great. It's holding yourself to a higher standard, right? But at the same time, it's like, let's tone it down a bit. It's a podcast, it's something that's meant to be fun, still informative, but there's ways to go about it to also make it entertaining for the people that are listening and not just feel like, oh, God damn it, class is in session again. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, one thing that you just said right now too is like the way that we portray our lives, the way that we talk about them and the way that we explain it to you guys doesn't necessarily mean that if you're not living your life that way, that you're living your life in the wrong way or something, right? This is simply a different point of view, from kind of like an analytical standpoint, right? From both Juan on his life, both myself, also from my life, and kind of trying to teach you guys something, from our mistakes, but not at all telling you guys like, hey, you guys are doing it wrong. Like, not at all, just some perspective, just some information we're sharing. But for today, it's an uncut pod, and we're going to have some fun today. That's what we're doing today.
Oh, okay. I like that.
To kick things off, I want to compliment Juan on his nice little man bun ponytail. Very nice, Juan.
Thank you very much. I accidentally told the haircut guy, the barber, to take off an inch, and well, obviously not a girl, so I don't know how long an inch is. So he cut off way too much. But anyways, that was my mistake.
There's a potential sexual joke there somewhere.
Yeah, I realized as I was saying it. It wasn't intended. I promise it wasn't intended. No, but just because they have long hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I won't say a joke because I don't want to be that guy. But like, it's kind of like I've seen like memes and stuff on Instagram. I mean, I like jokes. I like bits. Of like I think there's like a guy. He had like a banana or whatever. He's like at the supermarket. He's like,
did you send it
he's
to
like
me?
holding it. I might have.
No,
I might have. Yeah.
It was something else.
Okay. But it's like this is like a really big banana, huh? And it's like one of the smaller ones. Like, you know, it just like fits in your hand so perfect. Like, it probably has really good feelings too. I'm just like laughing. I'm like dying laughing.
No,
obviously
I saw a different one. It was fucking. I thought you sent it to me. I don't know who sent it to me, but my friends are fucking. I think it was my friends. Oh my god, I'll send it to you. It's this guy who literally has like a piece of. I think it's like a piece of leather. I don't know, or a piece of metal, something like that. And he goes by it and asks girls like, "Hey, how long do you think this is?" And girls try to give its length, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know, 7 inches, like 8 inches, like." Some girls like 10 inches, some girls like 12 inches, literally. And then he asked one guy, like, "Oh, that's 6 inches." And it was like, and the comments were like hilarious, like the girl who thinks it's 12 inches is a god. Like,
praise that woman.
Yeah.
It's I think it's something that guys definitely do go through it at some point in their life. Is like the whole like question of like how big is it, right? But like it's also something like kind of funny to just kind of laugh about. Unless I mean I guess maybe some guys get triggered by it, but that's little dick energy, right? I think it's something funny to laugh about. But hey, let's talk about that. The stigma around small peepees.
No, that's not a conversation. It's interesting to me.
Well, one thing I do want to say though is like obviously there's that whole like stigma for guys, right?
Yeah.
But there's not necessarily anything like that for women, right?
What do you mean?
Like in terms of like the sexual organ.
I mean, well, not that, but like
everything else,
but all the time.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm sure, as you were saying that, like every girl on the planet Earth just started laughing.
Like, you're so wrong. Comment section blowing up.
As a guy, I was just like, "What? Where's he going with this? Where's he going with this?"
Yeah. No, that's fair. Now, women probably definitely get it wrong. Or sorry, definitely get it worse.
No, for sure. Objectifying, all that sort of stuff. Not that it doesn't exist for guys, of course, but it's for sure disproportionate to women.
Yeah, it's funny too because I think I've kind of mentioned it before, but like kind of like got a big badonk, got a big butt, and when I started working out, I was like hoping that it would maybe like help slim it down a bit, but it's like done the opposite. It's kind of made it like slightly, or maybe it just appears bigger because maybe I lost some weight around my legs or something, but it definitely stands out.
We're talking about yours?
Yes. And so like I'll get looks sometimes at the gym, and like some of the shorts that I wear obviously don't help, right? Well, because that's just kind of how gym clothes is. It's meant to like be a little bit more comfortable, like when you're like trying to be flexible and like moving weird positions, right? As compared to jeans. So obviously it's going to kind of like amplify whatever figure you have. But I've seen women like check me out. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. It feels kind of weird. I feel like I got like eyes on me, like just staring at me. It's kind of weird, And it's like,
imagine that, yeah.
And like, I get that now. Like you're literally like you're over here focused, like, all right, what's my next set? And then you look in the mirror and you're like, did I just get checked out? Like, what the fuck? Like, damn, and it's like, it's just like a constant reoccurring thought that you have. Right.
Yeah. That's 100%. And then when I started working out, I made it a point to not do that. Cause I have 3 sisters for those of you that don't know. So it's like on one side, it's like, it's that. And then on the other side, it's also like, when people are looking at me, it's not like I'm like upset. It's just like, what are you looking at, bro? Like it's more like annoying than anything, you know.
Yeah.
Whether I'm looking good, whether I'm looking bad, whether I'm working out or I'm not working out, I'm just like, you ain't got to look at me, you know. So I know for a fact, like, it's so easy, especially like as a guy, like you, like I was going through the gym and there's like some girl that's obviously the one that has like the yoga pants, all this sort of stuff, right? Which she's fully like, you know, she can wear, right? It's not like, oh, she's wearing that clothes, so you expect people to like look at you. It's like, no, but she can wear wherever she wants.
Right.
But I can clearly see all the guys as I was walking because she was like in the middle. I had gone through the door and I was just walking. Like literally, I was looking at every guy, and every guy was just like doing the reps, you know. And it's just every now and then, like, every now and then, I'm just like, nice. And I could tell she was like, I think she got annoyed after a while. I'm just like, I mean, like I said, who wouldn't get annoyed with that?
Sure.
And she like ended up like putting her sweater like around her waist. I'm like, yep, it's you know. And it was actually pretty effective. Every guy there just kind of like went around and did their own thing at that point. I'm like, huh, how about that?
No, yeah, it's funny too because I'll be at the gym and sometimes you see like all the heads and like the one room that you're in kind of just shift right when like somebody walks by. Typically a woman, usually. But I've seen that happen too, where like girls will wear the sweater on their waist. I'm like, damn. I feel for you, you know, because obviously it's like you're going out of your way to put that sweater on your waist, and like for certain workouts, that's not organic. It's not gonna
like,
necessarily
when you're
feel
squatting,
great.
right? Like imagine squatting and you have a sweater around your waist, like that don't feel right to me, you know. No. Especially because I'm doing like deep squats these days, where like I'm going down, you know. It's just like, nah, I feel like that would be uncomfortable.
No, yeah, 100%. And I mean, I was kind of talking about this before we started recording, but like I was mentioning like how you can read people's body language, or sometimes you can get a lot from a person before you actually, you know, exchange the first set of words in between each other, right? I've been in a place where I can see like the awkwardness or like how uncomfortable like women feel sometimes, you know, like when I'm at the gym and they see me, because sometimes I wear like a red shirt and I got like red shoes, you know, so maybe it's like a little bit more alarming or it just kind of stands out more, you know. And so like the second they maybe see me or their shit or something, they're like, oh shit, you know, like they might be kind of intimidated, I guess. But I make it very clear right away, because like I wear my hat usually like literally like this, you know. And so if like I look up and I see somebody like kind of like, oh shit, you know, like I'm like, all right, well, I'm just not gonna make any contact with you. I'm gonna stay to myself. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I don't want to make you feel intimidated. I'm here for myself and myself only, you know. And I just kind of literally will look down like the whole time I'm at the gym, you know. Because I think about that, you know. I really don't want to be a public nuisance. I don't want to be making people feel uncomfortable and stuff, because God, dude, the gym has done so many great things for me. The last thing I would want to do is take that away from somebody else, you know. Like that's just like the worst. But yeah, I mean, anyways, going on that, like I remember I went through a phase where I was like slightly like socially awkward, and I think my smoking had a lot to do with it. When I was like really smoking like a lot of weed back in the day, I became like genuinely like awkward, like in a public setting. Like I think I had probably like smoked throughout the week, and then it was the weekend and I went to church with my parents. But while I was standing in the middle of the mass or whatever, I'm like this, and then all of a sudden I just kind of like I kind of just started kind of like tweaking out. Like I just like felt like additional pressure on my neck, and it's like I could almost like feel like everybody behind me like staring right at me or something. Like it felt so weird. And I went through this slight phase where like if I would talk to people, I wouldn't even look them in the eyes, you know? And like the first exchange of words, I'd be like stuttering, like, hey, you know, like just super, super weird. And so I made a note of that since then, especially, you know, since I stopped smoking and all that. I'm like, all right, try to be more articulate, try to be a little bit slower when you speak, try to look somebody straight in the eyes, try to be respectful, you know, don't be like twisted when you're talking to somebody, like, you know, shoulders pointing forward, like making a note of all these things, you know, like literally like analyzing like every single thing that I was doing to make sure that I'm like, all right, I gotta be professional, right? And the other day I was at the gym, and there's like some kid there that I've met. I don't know him all that well, but he's a cool dude. And I had my AirPods in or whatever, and I saw him, and I was just gonna go up to him and like say what's up, and I'm just like, and I take it out, and obviously I think he had his headphone on or whatever, and he takes it out to like hear me, and I'm like, it was little glass, huh? You know, like.
Nice.
Just mumbles, bro. Like nothing.
This
but
is a guy,
mumbles.
everyone. This is a guy that hosts a podcast. Just want to put that out there. This is my co-host. This is what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And, and the kid's face is just like, what?
Exactly.
Because he's
As
trying to be cool.
everybody else's. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like a kind of like a bro vibe at the gym, you know. Like you see another dude, like he's getting it in. You're like, oh, what's up, bro? You know, like trying to be cool. And then it's just like, what? And I'm like, my bad, dude. And like I said whatever I needed to say, and then like I had to come up with an excuse. I'm like, just having one of those off days, man. Just just feeling a little bit out of it. It's yeah. And I'm just like, fuck, that's embarrassing. I don't know what the fuck that was, And it instantly reminded me. I
wouldn't have believed you.
I didn't believe myself either.
One of my off days. What the fuck does that mean?
Like, damn, so this happens often for you?
Off your meds or what? What the hell's going
exactly. On? Exactly. Man, that shit was terrible. But like, it just like that instant reminded me, like it threw me back to all those years ago when I used to have that like super like awkward type of conversation or just like awkward interactions with people, or it's like when you're like a younger kid and you're doing something wrong and your parents catch you, and obviously you're not supposed to do whatever it is that you got caught up for, and they're like asking you about it, and you're like no. It's like that same kind of feeling,
Yep.
Like I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know, I just thought it's hilarious. I mean, like I tell people, like I make mistakes all the time and I like to laugh about them. I don't like to dwell on them. I like to just kind of put them out there, own them, and maybe that's something that people could take from this, as a tip or something. But, there's really no need to be too serious or take yourself that serious. When it comes to, certain aspects in life, yeah, fucking get after it. Fucking get serious, get fucking dedicated, like obsessed, like how we're talking on this past episode, right? But at the same time, like say when you clock out or when you're not on the job, you're not on the shift, you're not at the gym, I think it's good to kind of take a step back, kind of like we are with this episode, these kind of episodes and stuff, maybe laugh at yourself a little bit, maybe just kind of ease up a bit, not be so stressed, so tensed.
See, this is how I know the way that I live my life is confusing, because that's exactly what I was saying last podcast. Even though I'm sure it was interpreted differently, to me, like I never clock out. That doesn't mean I never work. That means like I try to live my life at the highest point that I can. So while I'm working, I try to be effective. I try to be, communicate well, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff for work, very technical stuff. When I leave work, I'm like, all right, cool. That's literally, I think about this shit like, all right, I'm going to go pick up my mom. Let me make sure that if she's having a good day, if she's having a bad day, like I'm just like, hey, how's your day? Something, So let me be a good son, whatever. Oh, okay, let me go have a drink with my sister. Like, let me ask her about what's going on with her. How's school? Are you looking to do this? What's the life plan? Right? Let me be a good brother. Literally, like that's like I go down the list of things. So I just like laugh because like I totally get what you mean. Like when you clock out, like chill, like just chill out. To me, it's just like life is work for me. Like all of it is fucking like working for me. So yeah, I guess like in that sense, like I don't exactly clock out, but I definitely like relax. Like I like to have fun. I like to travel. I like to live my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for me, like that part of like living your life is part of the job of living a good life, right? Not just being super effective, which is what I used to believe.
Right.
What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I just find it hella funny. It's like when somebody's like super serious and stuff, like, no, I have fun, I promise, I swear, like trying to justify it.
That's exactly
I promise you, I'm not a psycho. I really have fun. I like to go on walks sometimes. It's like, well, okay, dude, relax, don't have too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I
No,
switched
but
over to my
I
other
think,
hand because my other hand is tired now from squeezing this shit.
yeah.
As I was
Oh,
talking,
nice.
I started squeezing it harder.
Yeah. You freaking break the mic over there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
jokes aside, I think I like to get closer to like your way of living life, and as I kind of expressed in the past episode, I take different ideologies and I interpret them in my own way, of course, but like I see different points of view. I see different things that people do. I'm like, I'd like to try that. I'd like to implement that in my own life.
Yeah,
And
you should. We
yeah,
kind of did in SF, right?
yeah, for sure.
That's what it was. I mean, I guess the rap slash slightly ghetto version of like what I'm saying is work hard, play hard, which I've never liked.
Nice.
But that was a fun trip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, for those of you that don't know, I ended up picking up Juan. He came back to the Bay Area, and I was slightly fashionably late, as I typically am.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good time out in SF. That was one thing I wanted to bring up on this podcast. I had a really good time. Like, for people like that live in the Bay Area or like, close to other cities or actually in big cities, like, because you're constantly working or constantly doing things, it's like you almost like forget where you are, right? And it's like, oh yeah, duh. People travel like thousands of miles to get here. Like, people like will take an actual flight to come to SF and spend weeks, a month here, with like endless things to do. There's always something to do, right? And I'm like, how is it that I'm picking you up? And I'm like, fuck, what are we gonna do today? It's like there's so much to do. And and so we'll kind of run people through what we did. So picked up at the airport, right? We're super excited. And we were planning on going to this one spot that's like a rooftop kind of a restaurant.
I think it's called Carmine's. Or
Okay.
Charlemagne's. I don't know. It's a bougie place.
Okay. But unfortunately they weren't actually open that day. And because you're so busy, because I was so busy, there's like a
Oh, you're talking about the view. Oh.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it was the view.
Okay.
It was the view.
Yeah, so we wanted to go to the view. Yeah, that was close.
Originally we wanted to go there.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of an oversight. Again, we had plenty of things to do, so we didn't quite figure that out until it was actually the day of. But we're like, all right, well, we still want to fucking see a view. Like, queremos tragar, and we want to fucking see some cool shit. We want to see some fucking buildings. God damn it, we're in SF. Yeah. And so we ended up going to what was the name of the place that we actually went to?
El Techo Mission.
El Techo. Yeah, Argentinian kind of
It said Argentinian, restaurant. But I really think it was just Latin American because they had Cuban type food. I don't think it was just Argentinian. But it was delicious. And and I emphasize this, a fucking vibe. The place is a vibe.
Such a vibe. So it was on mission, and it was like the perfect type of vibe. I could not describe it any other way. I mean, when we showed up, like, it's the kind of place where we felt like we blended right in, like we fit right in, but still in a certain way, everybody kind of stood out in their own way. Like if you noticed, everywhere around you was like different kind of people. Like while we were there, we're pointing out this like two guys that were next to us, and like they seemed like super motivated about whatever they were talking about, which was like I think business related,
the economy and
and like the guy was like just, I don't know if he had like an energy shot, maybe did a bump of coke in the bathroom or what, but he seemed very enthusiastic about what he was talking about. So much to the point that because Juan was like right next to my right side, so when I'd be looking past him, I would make eye contact and I'd have to look away at him right away. Like I'm just, oh shit, this guy's too intense for me, Like,
nah, bro, you should have established dominance. Just stare the fuck out of him, just like screw up.
Yeah, talking about that body language, like, yeah, you're a bro, I'm a bro too. Like, this guy was super intense. This guy was super intense, but I love that place. And we had some really good food. Like the food was really good, and it's kind of what you would expect out of a place like that. It wasn't like a big meal, it was very much kind of like, kind of how they say botanas, like it's literally smaller finger foods, right?
Yeah. Tapas.
And tapas, there you go. And it was a great time. It was a great experience. and it was packed. Wish we could have stayed longer, but
Yeah.
as we're there, I'm like, okay, I don't get to see Juan that often. What else are we going to do today? We got to do something else. And we were discussing about maybe doing something else for dinner, whatever. And I'm like, bro, let's go to a fucking Giants game. And then so we start looking it up as we're finishing up our meal. We get some fairly cheap tickets, like right behind the Giants dugout. And so, the Giants game had already started, but we go over there and we get there and it's like, holy shit, here we are. We're at the fucking Giants game. And then like literally like a matter of like minutes, somebody like hits a foul ball and it's like literally like a few like seats away from us. And we're like, oh shit, that's right. We're that close. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And just a whole total experience. Giants lost, but whatever. Moving on. It was a really neat experience. I had a really, really great time. And when when you're so involved in work and other aspects of your life, you just forget to live your life. Like, just live, And I always, always, always say this, like, the best times that I have is literally when I don't plan things, when I'm just like acting on the spot. Like, what do you want to do right now? Let's go. Okay. Let's look something up. Let's go over there now. Like, just kind of acting in the moment, living your life in the moment. I love that. There's nothing better because usually the times when you plan things out and you try to coordinate with other people to try to do things exactly that way, it's like it'll always blow up in your face because that's just how life is. Life isn't perfect,
Yeah.
Things can get delayed. You can get there late. Like when we got to the Giants game, I think it was already like the 6th or 7th inning.
That was like the fourth
inning. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we didn't necessarily show up on time, but we didn't care. Like, we're just here for a game. We're just here for a ball game, like there's no need
also,
to be.
This was all on Cinco de Mayo, right?
Cinco de Mayo too.
So the techo was popping because of that, I think. And then also they were playing some, Ramon Ayala in the Giants Stadium, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Chuy Gomez was the official DJ for the game. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Local Bay Area DJ, pretty big deal. So it was, again, it's just like those little details, that you don't really focus on. And I'm like, that's a fucking vibe. Like, I don't necessarily celebrate Cinco de Mayo. There's not much to celebrate. La Guerra de Puebla, right? Or La Batalla de Puebla, I should say. Which is a big deal. I'm not trying to like say it's not, but here in the United States, we typically celebrate that. In Mexico, you don't. And so to see people really go out of their way and doing all this, like, kind of like all these festivities sometimes, especially like here in Sonoma, right, where I live, sometimes it feels a little bit over the top because I'm like, well, it's not necessarily our Independence Day. I feel like it's just another excuse for like people to get like tequila shot, drunk, whatever, but at the same time, it's like you have to look at it both sides, right? It's like, well, it's also like allowing people to kind of get to know our culture a bit more, So there's two sides to that, I'm like, all right, whatever. But for me, I'm not that type of person. But say for what we did, I'm like, okay, that's Cinco de Mayo celebration, Yeah. Do as much things you can with people you love, people you enjoy being around, and just being around other good people, that have good vibes. Similar to the guy that was at the Giants game that was sitting right behind us.
Nice. And you're gonna bring that guy up. He was a vibe. He was a vibe.
Just not our kind of vibe.
Screaming it in my ear, but it's okay. It's okay. I actually wasn't annoyed. I was just like, all right, cool. So you're that guy. It's all right.
Yeah, it's. For anybody that goes to like sports games, there's always that one fan in the crowd that's like yelling at the top of their lungs, like, yeah, la voz toda acabada. Like they have like nothing else. Like their vocal cords are being stretched so thin, but they're giving it their all. They're screaming in the hopes that one of the players hears them. But we all know nobody fucking hears you. It's like if you're sitting like 2-3 seats away from them and you can barely hear them, it's like there's no fucking way anybody else is hearing you in a stadium. Like, relax. But he was like yelling things out at the players, like, hey, this is the time. This is the inning. Let's get a hit. Let's get a hit. And his voice literally sounds like how I'm like talking right now. Like super, super like done. Like you've been smoking cigarettes the majority of your life. Like you don't sing obviously, so you don't take care of your voice. Like, voice sounding like shit. Like maybe take a seat, buddy. But
I don't know if you watched the Warriors game yesterday, but I went to a sports bar here, and there were two of those guys in the sports bar,
At the
and
bar.
it was and it was like it was actually so loud there that I could not hear them, and I was really surprised because they were like maybe 4 feet away from me. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you didn't watch it, but it was a really really good game, and it was the game to close
Nah.
out the series against the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Super good, like back and forth, back and forth. Every shot, literally, and I'm a huge like Warriors fan, Giants fan, Niners fan, all the Bay teams.
Yeah.
But so like and literally it was like such a it felt like a sporting event in being in the stadium because it was so loud in that bar. Literally,
Wow.
they were chanting the exact same things they were chanting in the stadium, and like they put the so every single TV had the game on. Nothing else was on in the entire bar. And it was like, I don't know, probably like 50 fucking screens. And then they connected the audio to like the overall audio. So everyone, it was like super loud. You can actually hear the fans and hear all this sort of stuff. Anyways, there were 2 of those guys there that were like screaming at the top of their lungs. And I legit could not hear them. And I was like, yes, this is good. This is the good stuff.
That's dope.
I feel like we could only hear that guy when we were at the Giants game, because it wasn't that loud. You know what I mean? There were like, it wasn't a full stadium,
right.
And it also wasn't a big stakes game. It was just like, it was a good game. It was cool, but it's early in the season, right? Nothing's really at stake. Just kind of,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I I guess I technically would have had the option to go to that Warriors game last night. I already had plans though, but shout out to Brett. He's been able to get me to like a few playoff games or like a playoff game and like another regular season game, I think. And one of the best experiences I've had personally, like going to Warriors games, is like definitely something else,
Yeah.
And I'm very happy and glad that I can check that off my list. Because I've been to Giants games, I've been at games where it's the Giants versus the Dodgers, right? I've never been to a 49ers game. I think I've been to like some other sporting events. I'm not really sure what. But I'm not typically all that involved in sports. I'm just not. I used to play soccer. I used to be very involved in all that. And then I kind of got over it. Something about the weird like rivalries between teams or like, I don't know, certain aspects of sports just kind of turned me away from it. But I came back. My interest peaked again into sports. Not because of the actual team, not because of what city they're representing, whatever, but because of the athletes. Like, these are like crazy human beings. Like, the stuff that they can do is pretty amazing. Yeah. And I was mentioning that to you when I went to the Warriors game and I saw Steph Curry. I'm like, oh, this guy really is a fucking beast. Like, this is fucking insane. Shot after shot after shot, like just fucking nothing. I'm like, what the fuck, right? You can hate all you want. That's personally what I dislike, right? It's like when people start hating on other teams, like, oh, well, fuck that team, or like, fuck that player, right? But then that player gets traded and now they're on your home team. Like, oh, no, he's actually good now. It's like, dude, shut up,
Yeah.
But you got to respect these people, like these are like people at the top of the game, at the top of the chain, right? Sure, it's a sport, but it's like anything else in life. You meet the CEO of a company, you're going to respect that person, right? They're there for a reason. If they're making the big bucks, they're there for a reason. They've earned it. They've worked hard for it. They didn't just get granted that position. They didn't just get that position handed over, right?
I mean, you can get it granted to you.
I mean, yeah, perhaps.
Just like say, like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but like, you can get it granted to you.
Yeah, but what I mean is
about like a co-founder CEO. Because like if I found the company tomorrow, but I think like, hey, I don't have what it takes to like really lead it. Maybe I'll help it in this other way. I can hire a CEO. Just adding that distinction. Like, you can't actually hire CEOs like that. Like, they don't have to be the ones that build it.
So you're just gonna interrupt me like that?
I'm just saying.
After literally complaining about the last episode. Okay, Juan, that's fine, dude. That's fine.
I'm just saying.
I can't believe you're putting our listeners through this. Wow, dude. I cannot believe you right now.
I owe the truth to my science education. I'm sorry.
I think you should be saying I apologize.
No, I said I'm sorry, which works.
That's a weird way of apologizing. It doesn't sound
no, it's exactly the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
I'm sorry and I apologize. You take those differently?
I do. I need
How do you take
profound.
them?
No, I'm just kidding. No, well, yeah, but like what I was referring to though is like when you work hard to get into the position where you would be hired as a CEO or whatever, right? Like that's what I'm saying. That's like there's work, it's dedication, it's patience. You know,
Sure.
year after year, right? If you start off at the bottom of the company, then you kind of become some sort of management position, then some sort of lead or lead before the management, whatever. You know, you go higher. You have your credentials, you build yourself up. Your resume is fucking kicking ass, and then bam, you get that position, right? Like same for like sports, right? You start off as a young kid, you know, doing recreational sports, whatever. Then people have their eyes on you when you're like maybe in high school, and they're like, "Hey, man, we'd really like for you to come play for our school, right? College, this, that, university of this." Bam, now you're there, and now you're in the big leagues, right? Once you can make it there, like that's what I'm talking about. It's like to see these people having invested so much into their craft and their skill pay off and be at the big leagues is a real sight to see, you know?
Yeah.
Even for the people
crazy.
that don't like sports, like I get it. I totally get it. But still, to see the game being played the best that it can possibly be played is still a sight to see, you know?
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's for the podcast necessarily, but
Here we go.
no, I mean it's not a bad thing. It's just like this is a legitimate question. It's not like a make conversation for the podcast question. You trying to go to Berlin? I've already asked you this before.
You did, yeah, you did ask me that before.
Like in 2 weeks.
Oh, in 2 weeks. What the hell? That's kind of random.
This is not a theoretical conversation anymore, Omar. At some point, we have to go from theory, from thought to execution to blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? If you're looking at flights, they are a bit expensive. Anyways, Berlin,
Maybe.
I'm thinking. Also, potentially Spain. I was having a laugh with my sister because I was like, so I make decent money, but like, obviously before I had this job, I had like accumulated some debt. So I've been trying to pay off my credit card, finances, investing, all that whole sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I still like want to travel and stuff. So I'm like, in my mind, I was like, all right, so what do I have to do to pay off my credit card next month, finish it off, and then but still travel? And I'm really trying to like find these like weird ways of just like I really want it that bad where realistically I shouldn't do it, honestly. Financially maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Do it.
I know I shouldn't do it, you know, but like who cares? Like you said, like, you know, who cares? So anyways, you can let me know after the podcast. That's fine as well.
Okay.
But
thank you for allowing me some time to think about it.
I was going to demand an answer immediately.
Yeah, it's like sign your life away now.
Yeah, either there or somewhere else for sure.
Meanwhile, the credit card in your wallet is like, don't do it. No,
I'll be fine after I pay off the credit card. It was just it was a bad decision I made. Like before I had this job, like sort of stupid financial decisions you make. Like, oh, look at that credit card. Like it gives you like, for me, like it gave me like a bunch of travel points and I could travel and, you know, for free over here and for here over there, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then I read the fine print and like, ooh, yeah, they got me here. Super high APR.
Yeah.
Just things that I'm just like, that was a stupid decision. Why did I do that?
I owe a lot of money.
You know, you learn, you live, and pay it off next month. And then, deuces, we're going to go travel.
Oh, yeah. No, I like that. I mean, I made a pretty big purchase, like, what was it, like a day or two ago, that I like, it's something I had been wanting to do for like a long ass time. I had looked into this for so long. Mm-hmm. And I've put it off for like, you know, quite some time. Like it's been like years. And it has to do with my truck. My truck that I'm building, for the people that are listening that maybe are not familiar with it. Just a truck that I'm rebuilding that has sentimental value, not much else to it. But back in the day, I remember I had an issue, especially like sometimes I would give you rides like back home and stuff, like late night, and like my headlights were trash. Like I literally had the worst headlights on my truck because it's an old truck. And I mean, I would put high beams on and they would not light shit up. Mm-hmm. I could very barely see. which is probably not a smart idea for me to have been driving that as my first vehicle. But hey, you only live once.
Decisions.
Right. Priorities.
Yep.
So anyways, I always thought like, yeah, I should probably replace those with like some brighter like LEDs, HIDs, whatever, right? But back in the day when those were first being made for those type of trucks, they look terrible. Like they look like some straight like eBay, like flea market remate, like type of stuff. Like I was just like, nah, it's not gonna look good. And so I just put it off, and then every few months or so, I would kind of do more research, see what new companies were coming out, what they were coming out with, what kind of stuff they were doing. And then I'd wait. And then I think about a year and a half, I saw some company doing something that was pretty cool, where they started putting or integrating like halos into like the older style headlights. And the cool thing about classic cars is that it's just a round headlight, It's pretty basic. It's not like your BMW where it's like a weird shape and there's like multiple things going on in there. It's literally just a round headlight. And I would always think like back in the day when I was in high school, I'm like, I think it'd be really cool if you could just integrate a halo to it. Like it would definitely make it look like something like newer, like a resto mod. And I think it'd kick ass, but I just never saw anybody do it or do it correctly, Back then the halos were also very poor quality, where it wasn't like an even ring. It was like spotty, and it was just like, it wasn't even actual. I don't know. I can't really get into the whole headlight talk because I don't know the specifics of what these things are called that are like integrated into a headlight bulb, but it was like multiple bulbs as compared to just one even ring, And so I put it off for a long time. Anyways, point is, now there's companies that make really cool stuff, like crazy level headlights. And I get really excited because I see the craftsmanship behind it. And I'm like, wow, dude, like this is badass. But it's also expensive, You're not going to find those kinds of sets of headlights for, less than like $500. Like this is bank, Yep. And I don't know what it was. Kind of maybe like what you did, right? You're just like, you know what? I have the ability to purchase something that's slightly above what I can afford, but I'll be able to pay it off, And we've talked about making like financial mistakes, right? And this is one of those that maybe you can interpret that, but even then it's still being as smart as possible, right? Because I can still pay it off. Like I could pay it off fully right now with the money I have. I just don't want to, right? I would much rather prefer to use my credit card and then pay it off, right, in time, maybe like 2 payments or something, right?
Yep.
That seems smart to me, and it won't affect my day-to-day costs of living as much, right? Especially with California having, higher gas prices and just about higher everything. You kind of have to think about things in that way. But anyways, I made one of the best decisions of my life. I reached out to this company. I spoke with this person over the phone as I'm working, and we basically came out with something pretty cool that I'm really excited about. So that'll be something additional to my truck rebuild that I wasn't planning on, but I did it. I'm stoked about it. I'm happy. And it's kind of like
How much?
Oh, we're talking prices?
Well, you said it. I recently made a big purchase. So
it's over $500. I'll say that.
For 2 headlights?
Yeah, a pair. So
not including the back ones.
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, I think nowadays brand new headlights for new cars probably cost around like anywhere from like I'd probably say like $500 around there, because these headlights that they make nowadays like have a lot of components to them. Like it's like really bright bulbs, I can't imagine that being cheap. And like for BMWs or Audis or like say like European cars, like those headlight shapes are something else. They look nothing like what cars used to look like back in the day, and just look like a square,
Yeah. So is that a no to my question of if you want to go to Berlin? Without directly saying no, Juan, I don't want to go. Actually, actually, now that you talk about that, I made a really big purchase in my life, and let me tell you why I love it. Without saying and no, thank you.
Damn, dude, I thought I was being so slick.
You did not. You had to know how to catch on. Anyone there was like there was no direct connection from Berlin and talking about that to, oh yeah, headlights, by the way. Yeah. There's
Like
no connection.
the fuck does that have to do with anything? It's almost like
Yeah.
when you're like going on a date, right? You're like a woman, and she all of a sudden just starts bringing up marriage, and you're like, I got this dog the other day. I'm kind of in this commitment.
Yeah, and I'm actually returning him. I actually didn't
Yeah, like, the
just
thing
like
is,
throw strong hints.
yeah, I've realized through this relationship with my dog is just, I'm not ready for commitment.
Exactly. Literally that's an actual good one because that connects pretty well. You went from like traveling to fucking headlights for a car that are over
Hey,
500.
well, because you brought it up as a financial like mistake or like, all that stuff, like credit card and all that.
No, travel I don't think is a financial mistake. For me, the mistake was getting that card and thinking, well, I'm going to get a bunch of benefits for this.
I thought you were going to say the mistake was inviting you.
Well, now I'm rethinking about that.
Yeah.
Now it's crossing my mind. Thank you for putting that in my mind.
Hey, I do whatever I can to help,
Nice. All right.
Yeah,
Well, there's my answer.
No, we'll talk about it post podcast. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you only live once, and you can make some financial decisions that sometimes are like a little bit insensitive. Like it's like, ooh, should I have done that? My money's gonna be stretched out real thin now, right? But it's like, hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. You got to live. If you're working hard, if you're genuinely like working really hard and putting a lot of effort into just trying to be a better person, I think you deserve to kind of, spoil yourself or in a way kind of reward yourself, right?
Yeah.
Obviously don't go over the top and go buy yourself a fucking like Gucci bag or like a fucking whole ass Gucci outfit, right? If that's not within your pay grade.
Sorry, do you prefer I know the question I want to ask. I'm just trying to figure out like,
you already have the answer to the question?
Yeah, but it's like what you're
question.
gonna say though, so I don't think I'm gonna have. I don't know exactly if you're gonna answer how I think. Like, do you prefer? I would just ask. Do you prefer to purchase material things or experiences? See, it's a tricky question because like, I know what my answer is, and I feel like I slightly knew what your answer is, but now I think like, not that it's a bad thing or anything. Either way you go, but especially like with your truck rebuild, right? It's been a lot of like purchases of like some, of course, like very necessary to rebuild it. Some, maybe not as necessary. I'll just say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do you stand? I don't know if you stand differently than previously I had thought.
If we were to look at my purchases throughout, say, like the last, let's say like 5 years, analytically, it would probably seem like I'm more interested in material possessions. But I mean, a lot of those revolving obviously around my truck rebuild. For myself personally, I think there's like a handful of things in terms of like clothing. Other than that,
yeah,
nothing really else there.
That's why I ask, because like, I mean, you have clothes, but I have clothes. Like, I've never known you to be someone who like, I mean, okay, in the past you did buy like shoes that you didn't need and shirts that you didn't need and hats that you didn't need. But I mean, like more recently is what I'm talking about. Like last, let's say 2, maybe 3 years, you don't buy a lot of like clothes per se, which is why I asked. But then it's like, then I don't really think about like the other stuff, which is like, as material possessions, I always just think about like clothes, watches, like saying the Gucci stuff that I think we both think is like ridiculously stupid. But then also now there's this other element of like the truck, which we didn't have before, right? Where now it's like you're putting in, and it is a very physical thing. I mean, everything about it is physical.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay, let's use some examples. I mean, the most recent trip that I made was in December. That was to the homeland. That was to Mexico. That was also to Texas. I was there for some time. Before then, it was probably this trip I made to LA. It was a short-lived trip, but still, an experience within itself.
Yep.
other than that, you know, the occasional trips to SF, Sacramento, and places that are closer than that. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of even. You know, most of the times when I go out, it's typically to eat, you know?
Yep.
So I think maybe it's even now. And I haven't even realized that, but it's actually, I think it's kind of even. Because, like, say, like, for way back, like, say, like, around 2000, what was it, like, 2018, that was around the time when I was, like, you know, dealing with my whole, like, accident legal issues and stuff. Like, it was when it first really became a thing for me. And I was dealing with that, processing everything. I wasn't really sure what direction my life would be taking. I remember you told me, like, you know what, bro, like, I think you should really look and do skydiving. Because I
Yep.
told you, I'm like, bro, like, I'm sober now. Like, this is whack. Like, it's my 21st birthday. Like, this sucks. Like, I wanted to go to Vegas. I wanted to do stuff. Like, I can't do any of that now. I'm like, fuck. And I was, you know,
Want to party up?
yeah. And I was still very much in that type of mentality, right? I hadn't let
Yep.
go of it yet. It would take much, much longer for me to really, really like let go of that bug that I had. And so I'm like, all right, I'll go skydiving. And then that was one of the best decisions I made. Like, thanks to you, I went skydiving. That was an experience within itself. And that, I think, might have been the thing that kickstarted that interest in doing, like, adventurous things, you know, adventuring out of your limits. But yeah, I think it might be time to step it up a notch instead of, like, going to Mexico, or instead of, like, you know, doing things that are within my comfort zone, I should say, you know, because that's also something that we've talked about, and we definitely try to reinforce within the podcast. You know, it's going out of your comfort zone, going out of your way to experience things, you know, and live life, not just within your realm, but, you know, further out of it. I think, but yeah, to answer your question, I think it's even right now. I think it's half and half. But
that's fair.
I think it might be a good idea to kind of step it up a notch, because I have been making some very big investments into my truck. So in order to balance that out, it's time for a trip.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, does that answer your question,
Yeah.
Juan?
Yeah, that fully answers my question. Yeah.
What about you? You're all travel,
completely on the experience side. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's just like, and you know, I like, the one thing I suppose is clothes, but I don't really buy a lot of clothes. I just like to, like, dress well. But I don't do it by, like, buying expensive clothes per se.
Yeah.
The one thing eventually I want to get, just because I saw in some fucking show, I don't know if I'll ever get them, but I want to get some red bottoms at some point. Some red bottoms. I think those would be cool. Like some fancy
Louis?
shoes. Yeah. Some fancy shoes to just, like, wear with a suit at some point. But, you know, like, cars, I'm really, like, I'm not into them, you know, like, I don't see a car and I'm like, yeah, I want that car. If there's, like, some oldie cars, I do think, like, oh, that's pretty, that looks good. You know, it's aesthetic. Would I buy it? No, I wouldn't buy it. The one car that I always keep going back to is the 1969 Corvette Stingray. That is, of course, well out of my budget and range of what I can even afford right now. So I'm honestly, like, I don't even think about it. I probably think about it, like, every 6 months whenever we talk about something similar to this, because I would have to be making a lot more money for that. And it's so far away to me that it's like, well, why am I even thinking about it right now? Right. So,
fair enough.
And especially, I think the thing that triggered sort of this shift is also, like, you know, traveling and living in France and all that sort of stuff. Like, everyone there is very much the exact same thing. I don't think I ever saw, like, branded clothes when I was there. Like, I saw Nikes and I saw Adidas shoes, but no, like, Jordans, no Gucci bags, no Gucci belts, nothing of that sort. Literally just basic. Everyone there was very much about, like, the experience. So I think that kind of, like, rubbed off on me. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been experiences all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I want to start, like, a company is, like, an experience. Like, you know how many people you're going to meet and how many people you're going to be, like, responsible for. And it's just a whole fucking experience. Not even, like, the money aspect. It's just literally, and if I get the money, like I said, the money would just be go travel somewhere else. And then if I get money from there, it's like, oh, well, let's try this thing out. We should do that. Zero sensation little pod thing that you wanted to do? Where you float in water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we should take advantage of you being here now and like sign us up for that. Actually, we should probably look into that after we stop recording this episode.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the something tank. I was about to say septic tank. No, definitely not septic tank.
I'm not going with you, bro. Fuck that. Take me to a fucking septic tank.
It's like, hey, bro, hop in my septic tank.
Fuck is your mind at? Septic tank.
I literally make myself laugh.
Nice.
Maybe we could save that as a potential merch idea for the future. It's like a t-shirt. Hey, bro, hop in my septic tank.
Like it's already a dirty comment just based on septic tanks, but somehow it probably has some deeper, more disgusting meaning.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, it's I forgot the name of it, but it's like a type of tank that you basically spend, I think, up to an hour in, and it's just salt water. I think that's what it was. And you essentially just float in this tank. You know, Joe Rogan's talked about it before. He is the one that I learned about that from. Yep. But it's meant to do a lot of good for you. Specifically if like you're going through a lot of stuff, it allows you a place and time to think and not have any distractions with the exception of your own mind. So I think it's kind of cool. Some people attribute to being close to some sort of a psychedelic experience, like it's an out-of-body experience. I don't know about that. I think maybe people are just kind of like over-exaggerating, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, you're literally sitting in darkness and you're floating. So maybe it is. I don't know. But that is something that we should experience ourselves. And if we do, we'll tell you guys about it. But I think that's a good place to cap this episode and call it quits and leave and never come back before I say more stupid things.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's a good place to end. Quick shout out here to my co-host for being a dope co-host and a great friend.
Thanks. Thank you.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's all that needs to be said. I don't need to say anything else after that. End this episode right now.
Let's go.
No, let's spread the love. Yeah. No, well, I will say thank you, man. Love you, man. Thank you. You've done a lot of great things for me. Obviously, I tell you this in person. You know, there's no need to like do it for the show, right? But there's a lot of other people that I need to thank that I haven't been able to get to. But if you're listening to this episode for whatever reason and you're one of those people, you won't know. But I will say, you know, I love you too. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for me. Happy to be alive. Happy to be here experiencing this and very thankful. So thank you guys. Also, make sure to check out our YouTube channel. We are now on YouTube. If you're watching this video, it's most likely because it's on YouTube or also Spotify. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Google Podcasts, all these other platforms. You know, ultimately, if you want to check us out, you can check us out. The choice is yours, right? We're making it very easy for you guys. And we're making it even easier by putting a link tree in our Instagram. So if you find us on Instagram at the Intrynsic Podcast, spelled the same way that you would probably see it here, right? It's Intrynsic with a Y.
Yep. You
can click on our link tree. In the link tree, the first selection will always be our most recent episode YouTube video. So again, super easy for you guys. If you like the episode, if you like the podcast, if you like what we do, if you like us, if you hate us, if you maybe want to talk shit, who knows? Make sure to support, make sure to spread the word, make sure to spread the love, like, comment, subscribe, all that on YouTube. Share the episodes with your friends, your loved ones, the homies, the homegirls, and follow us on Instagram, whatever. You know all that.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. All the shebang.
All right. Thank you guys for spending this time with us, and we'll see you next week.
Let's get back to it.